Hello, chess family. It's me, National Master Jesse James, and today we're going to be going over my games versus Nihal Sarin. Yes, the Super GM that has been, well, been doing very well, moving up the ranks. I actually have some games I got to play against him online. Well, mostly all bullet games, but still I'm very happy to say I got to play him. In fact, these games go all the way back until 2017, although the first game we're going to go over is the one we played most recently when he was 3,100. Well, let's go and take a look at my games, and let's see the final score here. All right, in this game I'm playing with the white pieces. I started off with e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, d4. Here we go for a Scotch game. Knight to f6, pawn takes, knight takes on e4. Here we're kind of transposing now into a Petrov over here. Bishop over to c4, knight to c5, knight c3, bishop e7, bishop e3, castles, queen to d2, knight to e6, and here I'm actually very happy with this position. He definitely did not push me too hard in the opening as far as theory goes, so I actually got a decent position here. And here I got aggressive. I went ahead and castled queenside. I think this is the best way to continue. When you got an advantage, you must push it. a6, king over to b1. It's one of those moves you just must play. Pawn b5 here, bishop back to b3, knight to a5, definitely trying to hunt down my bishop. So, well, let's go ahead and better my pieces. Knight to d5, knight takes, pawn takes, bishop over to b7 here, rook over to e1, rook to e8, and here finally I have a plan. You know what? Let's go kingside attack. Why not? g4 here. I'm going to try and push these pawns all the way down the board. a5 got played, h4, pawn to a4 here. Now I was a bit worried about this pawns running toward my king. Pawn to b4, a3, b3. I'm just going to try and keep this closed. a2, now we got the umbrella pawn. Let's go ahead and hide behind it. King over to a1. Takes, takes. Bishop takes. A nice move here, but a big threat is bishop to c3 looking like a checkmate. Can't allow that to happen. Bishop back to d2. Bishop back to f8. Pawn to h5. Again, I'm not losing any traction for this because, well, in these opposite side castlings, you got to keep attacking, right? Even if you lose a pawn, it's not too big a deal. Whoever gets to the attack first. All right, c6, queen back to d3, eyeing this beautiful h7 square. Bishop back to c5. He keeps moving this bishop quite a bit. g5, g6, pawn takes, pawn takes. I got my first feat here. I actually have a slight edge here because I've opened up the h file, and here he makes a bad idea. I go to play rook h1 to get to the h file first, but here he makes his bad move. Bishop takes on f2, winning a pawn, but now, well, this allows me my idea to get my queen over to the king side. Now I went ahead and played queen to e2, bishop g3, queen g2. Again, the idea is trying to get the queen over to h3 over here. And here we played knight to d4, realizing that things were not going too well here. And this is actually not a bad idea here. And you have to be careful. If you don't take on d4, knight takes on c2 is going to be a little embarrassing. So knight takes, bishop c3, just trying to cover everything over here. Pawn to queen over to b6, queen over to h3, queen over to c5. If he can get over here, then things will go bad. So just bishop b2, keeping things nice and simple. And now, man, I have a +5 advantage. And even though that is a huge advantage, it's not such a clear win here. I mean, you're playing against someone who's 3,100 over here, so that's definitely not the easiest thing to convert. Bishop over to g7 here, and here I did see the win. Queen h7 check, king to f8. And here, I missed the first win. I played rook over to h1. For those of you watching, do you see the checkmate in 3 here? Unfortunately, I missed it here. I missed the beautiful queen takes on g7. And if the king takes over here, it's knight to e6 check. King to g8, rook to h8 here for mate. And mostly all the variations end like that. So here I missed it. The first time I played rook h to f1. He played queen takes on g5. And this time, I did not miss it. Now I do have a forced mate. I went ahead and played it now. Knight to e6 check. Rook takes, queen takes check, king over to g7, check, king over to d8, and queen takes for mate. I was very happy to get this win against a very, very strong GM here. With that being said, let's go and take a look at some other games I got to play. I've played 7 games, one of them being a draw, and let's take a look at the rest of them. Here was the next game we're going to take a look at. This one goes all the way back to 2017. Funny thing, his rating has gone up about 500, 600 points over here, and mine's still at 2,500. So you can definitely say he's definitely made some progress here. All right, here I'm playing with the black pieces. He plays his d4 move, knight to f6, c3, c5, trying to open up this game, knight f3. Here we got like a collie over here. d5, pawn takes, knight to c6, b4, hanging on to the pawn. Ugh, I wish I could get rid of this guy, but it's just going to be bad from now on. Knight e4, bishop b2, bishop g4 here, knight to d2, queen c7, knight takes, pawn takes, knight to d2, castles over here, And pawn h3 attacking my bishop. Pawn to e3, I must have been playing very fast, but it turns out to be a very strong move in this position. Here I realize you can play queen to g3 checkmate, but of course he's not going to be falling for such childish tricks. He went ahead and played h takes on g4, and rook takes on d2. Actually not the best move here. Here I was supposed to play e takes on d2 check, and well, this would have just won the queen and probably would have been a win here. Unfortunately, I took on rook takes on d2. Yes, there's an advantage here, but not as much as it would have been the other way around. And here he went ahead and took. Not really needed, but I could definitely understand this. You know, you're just playing fast. These are bullet games, and he took king takes on d2, queen check, king back over here, pawn to e5. I'm trying to get these pieces out as soon as possible. e3, queen takes, pawn to g3, king to b8. Just one of those moves, like I said, you got to play. Rook to d1, queen g6, bishop d3. I feel like I'm just wasting time over here. Queen on e6, pawn b5. Now he starts his counterattack. Knight to a5, c4. Here I'm very happy I can get the bishop out over here and win a pawn. Rook over to h5, threatening the pawn here on e5. f6, we're just going to go ahead and defend real quick. Rook over c1, bishop check, king over, pawn to e4 now, bishop to e2, g6, rook h4, and here I just got too excited. I played pawn f5 right away. He's not going to miss these kind of free pieces. Bishop takes on h8, a6. The game's almost around evenish, although here it's saying white has an advantage with +2 over here. Rook takes on h7, and things just keep going. Here I'm just tilting now. And with plenty of time on the clock for him, not me, he's able to win this position. Bishop check, king over, bishop check, king over, rook to h8, and that's just going to be it. At this point, I can pretty much just resign here. All right, let's go on to our next game versus Nihal. All right, I got the white pieces again. e4, e6, d4, d5. We got a French defense over here, a Paulson variation. Pawn takes, knight over to d7, knight f3, knight to f6, knight g3 here. Definitely taking is something I might play in the future. Knight to e7. He's playing pretty interesting chess here. Pawn c3, knight g6, bishop d3, bishop d6, h4. Here I really don't like this game now. h4 with the plan of just pushing these pawns. Knight f4, bishop back to f1, b6, h5, bishop b7, h6, g6, and now knight e2, just a blunder move. He plays the right move. Bishop takes, giving me these terrible-looking double pawns here. Ugh. Knight over to h5 over here. Bishop e3, check. And not too big a deal. With the king being in the center here, this is not too big a deal just because, well, he's got a very good pawn structure over here. And my king really hasn't found a safe place to go to. b5, queen c2. Of course, he's going to try to open up on the queen side. And here, I even give him much needs to do this because, well, I castled this way. a5, bishop takes. If you're going to have a bad position, you might as well have some extra money. Here we go. Rook to b8, bishop c6, rook over, bishop e4, pawn to a4, d5, trying to open up this king. a3, very good move. b3, trying to keep it close as possible. Bishop over. Let's go ahead and play c4. Check, king over to f8. Yeah, this is an interesting position. Let's try to open it up now again. Pawn takes, knight takes, rook to d5. Here, this bishop is definitely looking better than these bishops over here, especially this knight. Looks like it has plenty of good squares over here. Pawn c6, rook over, bishop back, rook to d7 now, knight to d4. Here I have to trade. This knight's just too powerful. Takes, rook over to d1, c5, bishop to d5. Here I do have a decent position as far as, well, I'm going to be winning this f7 pawn. So he plays a very strong move here, rook to e6, just sacrificing back. All right, bishop takes, queen takes, rook takes on d4. There was no need to do this, but I assume I was getting a little low on time over here. Pawn takes, check, rook back, queen over to e5, rook to d3, rook over, rook e3, queen over to h2, threatening some checks over here. Unfortunately, I got a little too ambitious. I played queen c1, and now he found the correct move here, queen to g1 check. After this, I blundered terribly. I should just play back queen c1 here, and this does retain the advantage. But here, I play king c2, and it's game over. Queen check, king back, rook takes, and yep, that's going to be it for this one. All right, on for the next one. We got two more games over here. Here, I'm going to try and do my best, but here he is with the white pieces. Knight f3, c5. You got a symmetrical position over here. Knight f6, d4. Takes, knight c6, knight c3, g6, g3, bishop g2, castles, knight takes, queen takes, d6, bishop g5, h6. I actually did have a good position in this one again, but again, he's able to outfox me. very smart player and very, very fast. Rook over to c1. Here the opening's pretty much almost over here. And, well, this move is going to be good for him. He's just going to be winning at least a pawn here, as I can't take back, or else, well, this queen will fall. So bishop b6 got played. I do have the bishop pair, so that is something I could try to push for. Takes, pawn to b3. Queen a5, the pawn will fall, but at least I could try to get some activity over here. Bishop d5, of course, I'm not going to trade. Bishop f5. e4. Bishop g4, trying to weaken this king side a little bit. Rook over, rook over. Knight to b1, seeing if he wants to make a queen trade. No, I do not. Queen over to b6 here. King g2, he's a very fast player. And so going to these endgames are definitely not going to be good for me. h4, threatening pawn to h3 to open up this king. h3, bishop back, pawn takes. And now I'm happy because now I got some kingside weaknesses to work to. Bishop b5, knight c4. Queen over to d8, looking to win on h4, and even ideas like bishop takes h3, but the bishops aim this way. I figured there would be some counterplay. Here we go, pawn to h5, queen h4, don't worry about that guy. Rook to e3, bishop f4, here I got a nice little pin, looking at bishop takes on h3. Here he played pawn takes, and I missed bishop takes h3 right here, which, looks like a decent move to continue with the attack. Instead, I got too ambitious and played king g7, looking at sliding the rook over. And here he's just not nice to me. Queen d4 check, pawn to f6, rook to f3. Now I don't even get the exchange. But bishop takes on c1 does snag a rook. Knight takes on d6, rook to c2, bishop c6, and here he plants a sneaky trap, which I fall for. Yes, you take the bishop, but how do you take here? Hope you didn't take like I did. I took with the bishop and just got murdered now. Knight to f6 check, forking me over here. And, well, he's able to win this game off very nicely. King takes, knight takes check. King over, rook to g3, rook e8, knight back. Knight check again. Takes, check, 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 and mate. Ugh. All right, we'll finish this off with one of my games over here. This one I actually was able to get lucky. e4, c6, d4, e6. Here he looks like he's clowning on me right now. Pawn to f4. He's 2600. I'm about 2595 after this game at least. c3. Here I get one of my favorite types of positions. I get to build up a very strong center. And I was getting ready for my kingside attack. Unfortunately, he did not have these kind of plans with him himself. So he went ahead and castled queenside. That's okay. I played pawn b4. Let's go ahead and push it over here on the queenside. a4, h6, bishop to a6, king b8, takes, knight to b3, rook over to g8, bishop b3. Here he's trying to prepare g5 in the future. Knight f5, I don't want to lose that bishop. g5, and here I got a little reckless. I went ahead and played pawn to g4, kicking back this knight. I definitely did not want to do this. I definitely did not want his knight staying there. Pushing pawns up in front of my own king, maybe not the best decision though. All right, so f5 got played. Takes, e6. Here again, very aggressive move, threatening to take over here. Pawn takes, queen takes. Pawn takes, pawn takes. Knight back to f6. Queen to e6 over here. I definitely have some ideas, and I think here he makes a little mistake and plays king to a8, allowing me to capitalize on it. a5, queen to d7. Am I going to trade queens? Of course I'm not. Queen back to e2 over here. Pawn to b5. Another poor choice here, as now it gives me a nice c5 square. But hey, when you're playing in these bullet games, there's not too much criticism that can be given. Knight e5 attacking the queen, also covering g4. Queen e6, knight to c5. Queen to d6, bishop g3. Knight over to e4, knight takes, pawn takes, and this time I don't miss it. Knight to f7, forking the rook and the queen over here. Queen to d5, knight takes, bishop takes, queen over to h5. Knight to f5, queen over to e2. Takes, and here I think he was just getting low on time, so he went ahead and tried to sacrifice. It looks like there might be an attack here, but here I was just able to defend. Check, king over, check, queen over to c4, rook over, queen to d5, takes. Of course, I'm not going to take here, as this would have given him two pass pawns here, and that definitely would have been bad. e2, just rook over here, just playing it nice and simple. Of course, he would not take here, as this would have been taking and making a queen and checkmating. King takes, and now just very simple technique here. I'm able just to win the pawns, and I assume he was very low on tie here and flagged. Oh, I'm sorry. I do have one more game versus Nihal. This is, I believe, our first game that we did play. At this point, I'm 26 and he's 2500. So e4, c5. Here we got a Sicilian. Knight f3, g6. d4, c takes, knight takes. Bishop G7. Here he's going to play the modern variation with Bishop to C4. Castles, castles, A5. Here I like this plan. The idea is to try and play this A4 move over here. He castled, I played A4. And here he took the wrong way. He took back with the bishop. Typically, knight takes is the move. Although I did miss the move here. I should have played knight takes on E4 right here. As if the knight takes back, then the rook takes the bishop. So, well, knight takes on D4, takes D6, bishop B3. Bishop G4, just a free tempo. F3, bishop back, rook over. Here, there's no doubt that he has a clear advantage. Although here again, he did not play the best move, which I believe is pawn takes on D5, as this opens up the rook over here. Here he took back with the bishop, and then took back with the queen. Yeah. So, bishop E6, queen D4 check, F6. C3, I take here to give some double pawns. Queen to C6, king over to F2. He's ready for the endgame now. H5, H4, stopping any kind of kingside attacking ideas I had. Trying to mess up the pawns. King over to F7, rook to A4. Here, B5, trying to get him to trade off here so I can control the open file over here. Rook over to A1, queen C5. I've heard all rook and pawn endgames are draws, so I go ahead and trade off the queens here. Takes, takes. King over to E3, rook over to B8. Trying to play B4 here. Rook to D1 threatens rook to D7, so let's go ahead and play your king here and stop that. Rook takes, giving me the open file. Rook to D5, and here, rook to A2. Remember, if you're going to play these endgames, play active. And here, things start to get a little bit wobbly for his conversion over here. Rook takes, rook takes, rook takes, rook takes. And it looks like this should be a very simple win with two passed pawns over here. Unfortunately, he seems to make a crucial mistake over here. Rook check, king to D7. It's good to keep your king close over here because, well, although these passed pawns are being pushed, your king can help slow these guys down, especially because the H4 pawn is about to fall here. B4, rook over. C4, rook takes. Now I've got my own passed pawn, but this king is not helping out, at least right now. C5, rook H2. B5, rook over to C2. Check, king E6. Maybe king D8 would have been better, but I think if I had done that, there might have been some checkmate threats over here. So king to E6 gets played. C6, H4. What do you do with passed pawns? You're going to push them. C7, H3. And here, this is where the mistake happened. At this point, he really has nothing better. If he tries to play something like B6, it's going to be too slow. H2, H1. This king was just in the wrong spot here. And these two pawns were taking too long to convert over here. So here he went ahead and tried queen check. Rook takes. I'm maybe hoping for a blunder by me by not taking over it. And he played king F2. Rook check over here, guarding on the king. And here, unfortunately, he plays the wrong move. King to G3, and now it's just game over with H2, and, well, at this point, he went ahead and resigned. All right, with that last game, that was our final one. We played 7 games, and unfortunately for me, he did get out ahead. It was 3 wins for me, with his 4 beating me just 1 point, so he's a pretty good Super Grandmaster over here. I was very happy and privileged to play him, and now I'll be showing some more games with other top players. All right, guys, we'll see you in the next video.